What's happening, everybody? Tired Willie here tonight. Oh, it was a late night. Up at 5 a.m., at work by 6 a.m. Didn't leave work until 6 p.m. Hour and a half ride home, and then back here. I'm beat. What time is it? It is 8 o'clock. But you know, sometimes you have to overlook the fact that you're extremely tired. It ain't easy. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying sometimes you got to overlook it, because some good things have happened today while I was at work. A couple of packages showed up. That's right, and I'm very eager to look at them and have already opened one and said, you guys need to see it too. Okay, after the last video, which I didn't have a video out for Wednesday because I've been working, and it's just how it goes. We've had this conversation, and I just haven't had the time. Honestly, right now, I should be probably going upstairs and getting in bed. You would think after 30 years in the same profession that those days would be gone, that I would have moved on past that. But wow, is that an open wound and something that we just don't have time for. Anyway, what has happened, we all remember this guy right here. That's from the last video. That's right. Johnson Century 100B that I found in a showcase cabinet in Protect Fishing. Or Fishing Protect. It's kind of weird. I'm not sure how to say it. Fishing Protect. Let's go with that. That's the right way to say it. We took this reel apart. It was completely frozen up. We got everything working again, but we found out that the gears had been fairly rounded off in a couple of spots, and we have... That's right. Sounds like we're sharpening a pencil in there. Well, my buddy, my friend, my pal, the anti-Willie, Dan Selvig, who lives in the hometown of the factory that produced these fine reels, the Johnson Century, the Citation, and plenty of miscellaneous other reels that were out there, which we will get to in just a moment. Well, he mentioned to me that he had a reel that would probably be okay to sacrifice the gears out of. I'm going to show you that reel, and even though it probably looks like it's in better shape than the one I have, we're still going to look at it, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. Here we have a 45th anniversary Johnson Century 100B. Now, why would I say that something that looks that good and functions, why would we sacrifice this reel? Well, at this point, when the anniversary edition came out, the 45th anniversary edition came out, they were being made in China. I don't know if you can see that or not. They were being made in China. So there's a few subtle changes, little things. The thumb button, well, it got a little grip to it, I guess you'd say. It's not slick, and it's not white, or in my cases, yellowish orange, where it has aged from sitting in a cabinet in the sunlight. The other thing is the dial changed for your drag. There's just a dot on the drag button that tells you where you're at. There's no dial for it. Honestly, it looks as though the anti-reverse still functions the same, but it has a larger gold writing on it. You can still switch it from side to side. It still has the screws, but we went to Phillips head screws at this point. And the button actually has a J on it. And it's black now instead of the chrome. The button I kind of like. I'll not lie to you there. Not the button, but the crank there is. Looks like it's heavier made, but it is going to be a shorter throw. And I kind of like the one that I took off the 110 that we put on that, which is a little bit bigger. We'll keep that one on there. The green is a darker green, but I have not taken it apart yet. But yes, it is made in China. And maybe at some point, I'll find another set of gears that can go in this. And that is if the gears from this reel will fit in this reel. Only way we're going to know there is to disassemble. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this thing apart, disassemble it, and we're going to check and see what we've got going on here, if these gears will fit in the other one. So all I can say is let's get to disassembling. Well, I can see a little difference there already. The spinner, the rotor is a little different, and I noticed that the pin, it has room for a dual. It has two holes. It has a room for a dual pin, but it's only a single. But I have to say that the gears are quiet. So let's just get this box. This is the box it came in, by the way. I'm really struggling to stay awake. I'll be honest with you. I might just fall asleep right here on at the table of contents. I may become the table's contents. I see some subtle differences in there. The plastic, the retrieval pin itself has wings for some reason. I don't know why. We'll hold on to that and we'll put it back on. And it does have provision for a dual retrieval pin. I find that to be pretty interesting. And then we have the old hairpin here. We do have 3 plastic, come out of there. There we go. Drag button's what I'm getting at, but I was too busy trying to make sure that I didn't mess something up. The big thing is going to be, will it match up? I hate to say it, but I think we might be looking at something different here. It's almost like I got to take the C-clip and the spring off. There's a C-clip on the end of the spring and then the gear, but the other one, see, this groove was always big enough that the gear would go through it. But not this one. No! Okay, everybody say goodbye to this C-clip. Okay, we got the C-clip. We didn't lose it. Okay. Oh, and then it comes out the top after the gear falls off. Wasn't expecting that. Alright, we got that back together so we won't lose any of that. And we will... see, this looks different too. We're going to go with it. We're going to see what happens. I mean, you just don't know unless you experiment. Take that gear, which does... oh, I see what we're doing there now. Okay. Now, there was, on the other gear, there's just a copper bushing. This one has 3. It may present a problem, I'm not sure. They may have made a few little changes here and there that actually just were good changes. Now, for the fun part. Taking the other one apart. So, I'll take that cap off. But now you see, here's what we were doing with the other one. On these, the gear slides between the groove, because the groove is large enough to handle that. See? And then you just tilt it to the side and the gear just falls right out. On the Chinese version, it doesn't do that. So here is our super chewed up gear. Well, I'm going to set them down here and look at them. I just realized something. Well, I want to tell you, I just seen something just now that I missed when I put it back together, because I didn't take this piece apart. But this gear is upside down. The way that slides up into the base, I missed that on the installation when we took it apart. Somebody, because that gear was so messed up, I think they turned it upside down to put it in a different place where it wouldn't be on that part of the gear anymore. But I just now noticed it, because the flat base side here is flat. You see that? It's all flat. That's the geared side. That's the tooth side, is going up flat against the base, the bottom. It's going inside like that, and it's riding on the bottom. You can't do that. Now, I'm not saying you can't do that. I guess you can, but you don't have a smooth surface like that. But what they did was, because the gear was so messed up, I think they took it apart and turned it upside down. There are 2 different size shaft pieces coming out the bottom, so I can't put this gear on this shaft. I have to use this shaft. So, All right, well, we're just gonna have to go that route then. But that's funny that I just noticed that just now. I did not notice that on the original put back together when we took it apart. So, sorry folks, I missed that. Okay, well it does go back together. I really didn't have to do that. I could have slid straight through the top, but I wanted to make sure I could get it all back together the right way. The fun part is going to be trying to get that C-clip on there. And I did it, we didn't lose it. And there we go. We'll leave that right there. We have to take this apart and put our other gear in here. Get all this grease out of here, because I did very much so over grease this gear. Now we're going back with the crank that was from the 110, which is an American made crank. Oh, now we have a problem. The shaft is bigger. I might have to use the black one. I have no choice. Well, daggone it. I was really looking forward to using that larger or longer crank arm on here, so I guess we have to go back with that. I don't like change. It weighs your pockets down and you always leave them in there and then you wash it. And I almost feel like I should use the black button now, but I don't think it's the same. Let's look at the buttons and see. It's built identically. But you know what this reminds me of? I'm going to tell you what this reminds me of. John Wayne's 45, Colt 45. They had ivory grips, and he used that same gun through so many movies that the ivory grips that were white turned yellow. Look that up. It's very interesting. But yes, the gun that he used in all of his movies, the grips yellowed, and this just reminds me of that. And I like John Wayne a lot. So we're going to go with that back in here. But this gear is in very, very much better shape. I mean, like, honestly, don't look like it's been used. Dan will have to tell me the history of that reel. I surely hate taking it apart, but we have to look into the fact that we're putting one of our boys back out there again. Alright, everything seems to be doing what it does. Let's put the spool back on here. I really should have changed. It doesn't even make any noise. That poor old pin. I wonder if I should just go ahead and change that. Much as I did not want to do that, I guess maybe I will. Oh. The whole doggone thing. Oh, it's broke. Dan, I don't know if you knew this or not, but that's broke. The plastic centerpiece that screws out because it's plastic, it's broken. Dan, did you know that was broken? We do now. Yep, that doggone thing is actually broken. There you go, more plastic pieces. But you can see there, well, maybe you can see there, I don't know. It's broke. That piece is broke. It just came right out. And it's not supposed to. It's not supposed to pull out, it's supposed to screw out. And it just pulled out. It's broken. Broken is what it is. Say what you want, I see it. It's broken. Yeah, it looks like that'll work. And that's got a better piece on it. That's sad. That is really sad, because now I've got to look for, and I may have one. No, I think they're a different size. Yep, I think that piece that screws in there may be a different size. We'll have to look further into that when the time comes that I feel like putting that reel back together again. So, what have we learned today? We've learned a lot today. Most important thing that I've learned today is that always check your little battery indicator on the camera. If it's close to dead, change the battery. Because right when I was changing the copper drag clicker, the battery died. So I just went ahead and finished putting it back together, because other than that, I was just putting the drag bushings back on. And then the spool, and then the rotor, and then the cap. That's all you missed. Nothing super important. You saw all the important stuff. So let's go back to what we learned. Will a 45th anniversary made in China Johnson Century 100B help out an old fella, an old original 100B? Yes, it will. Certain things. We learned there were certain changes. There were little things, little tiny things, but nevertheless we got past those, jumped those hurdles. And I know you heard it before, but let's listen now. No growl, people. It's a little bit stiffer, and I think the reasoning for that is tolerance differences. While the battery change was happening, I went upstairs and I called Dan, and we talked about the differences in the reels, which were rather humorous, that he knows and I know, and we all know now what the differences in these little guys are. The big thing is now, let's get this guy out to the water and go fishing, because I'm going to tell you what, again, I've said it before and we'll say it again, if there ever was a reel that deserves to go fishing again, it's that one right there. Might take a little journey up to the old campground. I think that would probably be a better place, since my my review spot is pretty much dead. That's all I can tell you, it's just dead. The fish just aren't doing anything. I got another video coming up I think you're going to find pretty interesting. I picked up a reel that I don't normally mess with. It was kind of the fall of the Johnson company. So prepare yourself for that. Prepare yourself for the Johnson Tangle Free 8. We'll see you on the next one, even though you kind of already know what the next one's going to be. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's go fishing.